The screen flickers to life with the glow of a single candle, its flame trembling as if whispering secrets from another century. A woman's pale face emerges from the shadows, skin so white it almost glows, eyes rimmed in sorrow, lips stained faintly red like fading roses. Her beauty is haunting, fragile, almost unreal, and it should be because it's killing her. In the Victorian age, the color of your skin wasn't just fashion, it was fate. Women poisoned themselves for perfection, powdered their faces with death, and smiled through the pain, because to be pale was to be powerful. Beneath lace and silk, behind mirrors and vanity tables, history hides one of its most chilling beauty obsessions. This is not just about makeup. It's about the deadly price of looking pure when the world demanded perfection at any cost. In the heart of the Victorian era, beauty was measured not by color, but by the absence of it. Pale skin wasn't just admired, it was worshipped, a silent badge of wealth and virtue that separated the privileged from the laboring poor. To be pale was to prove you never worked under the cruel sun, that your hands never toiled, your life untouched by hardship. Women guarded their complexions like fragile treasures, hiding beneath lace parasols and wide-brimmed hats, painting their faces in powders that promised purity. The lighter your skin, the higher your status. The more ghostly your reflection, the closer you appeared to divine perfection. In portraits and parlors alike, whiteness became power, an illusion so intoxicating that even nature's warmth was feared. What began as a symbol of refinement soon turned into an obsession, a quiet race to erase every trace of life from one's skin in the name of beauty and control. Behind the soft glow of Victorian beauty lay a terrifying secret. The very powders and creams that promised elegance were laced with death. Women dusted their faces with lead and arsenic, rubbed mercury into their skin, and bathed in concoctions that slowly destroyed their bodies from within. These deadly ingredients ate away at their flesh, causing sores, trembling hands, hair loss, and madness, yet they called it refinement. Arsenic wafers were sold in fancy boxes, advertised as complexion purifiers, and lead-based face paints gave the illusion of porcelain perfection while poisoning the blood beneath. Doctors warned of danger, but the whispers of beauty were louder. Every morning ritual was a quiet act of self-destruction, masked by lace and perfume. The mirror became a cruel accomplice, reflecting radiance on the surface while hiding decay underneath. In their pursuit of flawlessness, countless women unknowingly signed their own slow death sentences, all to look like the angel society demanded them to be. In the flickering glow of the Victorian drawing rooms, beauty and morality danced a deceitful waltz. Society worshipped purity yet secretly demanded perfection, forcing women to hide their painted faces behind veils of shame. Makeup was considered a mark of sin, something reserved for actresses and courtesans, yet the same powders and rouges were quietly used by the respectable ladies who condemned them. Behind closed doors, they dabbed their cheeks with carmine and dusted their skin with lead, praying that no one would smell the perfume of deceit upon them. They lived double lives, angels by daylight, artists of illusion by candlelight, because to admit vanity was to invite ruin. Every mirror became a confession booth, every brushstroke a whispered rebellion against a world that told them beauty was both their duty and their disgrace. In this cruel theater of appearances, women learned to wear their virtue like a mask, and their secrets like a second skin. Perfection in the Victorian age came wrapped in silk and sealed with suffering. Behind every flawless face was a story of pain, skin that burned, bodies that trembled, and souls that withered beneath the weight of impossible ideals. The poisons they used in pursuit of beauty seeped into their blood, leaving them pale not from purity, but from illness. The sickly look became fashionable, a ghostly fragility praised as delicate femininity, while the very women admired for their ethereal glow were slowly dying beneath it. Their bodies grew weaker, their minds clouded, yet they smiled for the world, trapped by a standard that equated beauty with worth. The mirror offered approval but demanded a sacrifice in return, turning vanity into a form of quiet martyrdom. They painted on perfection, knowing each touch of powder brought them closer to decay. But stopping meant losing the only power society allowed them, the illusion of flawless, fragile beauty. As the hunger for perfection deepened, an empire of illusion began to rise. Victorian beauty merchants learned to sell dreams in glass jars and silver tins, promising purity, virtue, and eternal youth to women desperate to belong. Advertisements filled newspapers with angelic faces and poetic lies, claiming their powders could cleanse the soul as well as the skin. Behind the elegance of the packaging hid concoctions of arsenic, lead, and mercury, poisons wrapped in ribbons of luxury. It was the dawn of commercial beauty, when deception became an art and insecurity became profit. Women bought hope with trembling hands, believing each cream would lift them closer to the ideal society demanded. The industry whispered that beauty was a duty and imperfection, a failure, feeding the illusion that salvation could be bottled and sold. And so, vanity became business, and business became control, a machine that turned fear into fortune and pain into fashion, leaving countless women to fade beautifully into the very poison they paid for. Beneath the glittering chandeliers of the elite, the working-class women lived in the shadows of a beauty they could never afford. Their hands were rough from labor, their skin browned by the sun, and society saw in them not strength but shame. While the wealthy powdered their faces in secret, these women were mocked for their natural complexions, their lives too exposed to disguise. Factories, fields, and laundry basins left no room for painted perfection. Yet they too felt the sting of expectation, the cruel reminder that worth was measured by appearance, not survival. Some risked what little they had to buy cheap imitations of luxury, powders mixed with chalk and lye that burned their skin raw. Others watched in silence as the pale faces of the privileged became the standard that erased them entirely. They were the unseen victims of a system that glorified fragility while feeding on labor. Women who kept the empire alive yet were never allowed to be seen as beautiful within it. Their reflection didn't fit the fantasy, and so history chose not to remember them. As the 19th century began to fade, so too did the reign of the white face. The world shifted under the glow of new light. Industrial smoke gave way to open skies, and the once feared sun became a symbol of vitality rather than disgrace. The suffocating ideals of pallor and fragility slowly crumbled as women stepped outdoors, discovered freedom, and dared to breathe color back into their lives. Tanned skin, once scorned as common, began to whisper of health, adventure, and independence. The delicate ghosts of the Victorian age gave way to the spirited figures of a new century, women who cycled, traveled, and claimed their own reflection. The powders of poison were replaced by blushes of life, and for the first time, beauty began to mean being alive, not merely appearing so. The empire of pale perfection had finally fallen, leaving behind its haunting legacy like dust on an old vanity mirror, a silent reminder of the price once paid to be seen as pure. The story of Victorian beauty ends not with glamour, but with a quiet ache that still lingers in the modern mirror. Those pale faces, once symbols of grace and power, were really masks built from fear. Fear of imperfection, fear of losing worth, fear of being unseen. They lived in a world that taught them to trade their health for admiration, to mistake pain for elegance. And though the powders have changed, the reflection hasn't. Today, filters replace arsenic and digital glow replaces lead, but the same whisper remains. You are only as beautiful as what you can hide. Women of the Victorian age may be gone, but their struggle breathes through every face that still feels the need to be flawless. Their tragedy wasn't vanity, it was the belief that to be loved they first had to erase themselves. And maybe the real beauty, the one they never got to see, was never in the whiteness of their skin, but in the humanity they were told to cover.